On March 24, 1991, in Victoria, British Columbia, a family outing to the park turned into every parent's worst nightmare. 4-year-old Michael Dunahee was with his family at Blanchard Park, excited to play on the playground. But within minutes, he vanished without a trace, leaving behind only questions, sorrow, and a mystery that has endured for over 30 years. Despite extensive search efforts and media coverage, Michael's whereabouts remain unknown. How could a child simply disappear in broad daylight with no one noticing? Could he still be out there alive somewhere? Or is all hope lost? Welcome to Bad Things. Let's explore the details of Michael's disappearance and examine the possible theories to determine what most likely happened to him. Michael Dunahee was born on May 12, 1986 in Victoria, British Columbia, a coastal city on Vancouver Island near Seattle. He was the son of Crystal and Bruce Dunahee. Michael was an outgoing, cheerful child who loved spending time with his family, especially his younger sister, Caitlin. Mornings were a cozy time for Michael, sitting on his toy dump truck, enjoying his favorite cereal and watching cartoons. Crystal, his mother, shared a memory that showed his gentle side. One day, while she left baby Caitlin in the living room with Michael to take a quick shower, she heard Caitlin crying and rushed back. She found Michael holding his baby sister, watching cartoons with her, thinking she cried because she wanted to join him. Michael was already showing signs of being a protective older brother. Caitlin was still just a baby when everything changed. On March 24, 1991, a day that would mark a turning point, the Dunahee family went to Blanchard Elementary School for Crystal's women's touch football game. On the way there, Michael eagerly asked if he could play on the school playground. Crystal told him she'd decide once they arrived. Seeing other kids there, she felt comfortable letting him join. She carefully fixed his hood against the wind, gave him a quick reminder to stay nearby, and watched as he ran off. I made sure he was looking at me and understood he could go but had to stay there and wait for Daddy, Crystal later recalled. She had a strange feeling, like butterflies in her stomach, a feeling she would regret ignoring. Around 12:30 p.m., Crystal sent Michael across the parking lot to play, believing he was safe with the other children. However, a short while later, Bruce went to check on him and returned to Crystal with devastating news. Michael was nowhere to be found. Panic quickly spread. The football game stopped and over 50 people joined the search, calling out Michael's name. Bruce and Crystal immediately contacted the authorities, and soon Victoria's largest police investigation began. Crystal's memory of that moment haunts her. I had told him not to go off with the other kids because I didn't know who they were and to watch out for cars. But by the next morning, the search changed from finding a lost child to looking for a child who had been taken. Detective Inspector Fred Mills of the Victoria Police Department immediately classified it as an abduction. I received a phone call at home on a Sunday about a child missing from the playground, he recalled. It quickly became clear this was more than a lost child. It had all the signs of an abduction. The case had the entire community on edge. 15 detectives were assigned to the case, investigating tips, looking into known offenders in the area, and interviewing kids who had been on the playground. One witness described seeing a man in his late 40s or 50s hanging around the playground. Another child reported seeing a man in a brown van and even provided a sketch. The van was supposedly nearby when Michael disappeared. Police took this seriously, tracking down every brown van they could find and interviewing each owner. With such a distinctive detail, there was hope that it might lead to a quick breakthrough. However, despite exhaustive efforts, the case didn't yield results. Days stretched on, and the family's despair only deepened. As if their grief wasn't enough, pranksters left cruel messages on their answering machine, claiming Michael had been murdered as part of a satanic sacrifice. Another caller demanded a $10,000 ransom for his return, but they never followed up. Each day brought another layer of pain as the family and community grappled with Michael's unexplained disappearance. Now let's discuss all the possible theories surrounding Michael's disappearance. One of the most widely believed theories in Michael's case is that he was kidnapped. It's a thought that terrifies many families, especially since children are sometimes taken from playgrounds. When Michael vanished, several witnesses reported seeing a man in a brown van near the playground. This has led many to think that this man might have taken Michael and driven away. The witnesses described the man as a stranger, but no one knew his name or where he came from. Some people believe he might have lived nearby and taken Michael to another part of Vancouver Island. Others wonder if he travelled further, possibly to mainland Canada or even the United States. This mysterious man in the brown van became a central figure in the investigation. The police received many tips from people who claimed they saw a brown van parked near the playground when Michael disappeared. Some witnesses even reported seeing it driving away shortly after Michael went missing. These sightings made many believe that the man in the brown van was involved in Michael's abduction. Interestingly, reports of a brown van in the area existed even before Michael's disappearance. On September 26, 1989, there was an attempted abduction of a 3-year-old boy near Kings Road and Dowler Place in Victoria. Witnesses say a man in a brown van tried to lure the child by offering McDonald's toys. A woman named Bev Morrison saw what was happening and stepped in, causing a heated argument with the man. She quickly called the police, but by the time an officer arrived, the man and his van were gone. Bev noted the license plate number, which was recorded by police. 18 months later, Michael Dunahee disappeared from nearly the same area. Once again, there were reports of a brown van nearby at the time. Last year, the man who owned that brown van passed away on Vancouver Island. The man in the brown van was never charged in the attempted abduction, nor was he charged in Michael's case. This leaves an unsettling mystery. If he was involved in taking Michael, how did he manage to escape without anyone noticing? The playground was busy with children and parents, making it hard to believe someone could take a child unnoticed. Some think he might have had a plan or was very familiar with the area, which could explain how he slipped away so easily. The next theory in Michael's disappearance is that he was taken by someone he knew, maybe even a family member or close friend. Family abductions happen when someone close to a child believes they can offer a better life or keep them safer. So it's important to consider the people who were part of Michael's life at that time. Michael came from a loving family, but it's possible that a relative or family friend had other intentions. They might have believed they could provide him with a safer environment or a better future. However, family abductions are quite rare, and it's unusual for someone close to the child to take them without the parents being aware. This theory also brings up the question of whether Michael might still be alive. If he was taken by someone familiar, he could have been raised in a different home, perhaps even unaware of his real identity. Yet with no signs or sightings of Michael since 1991, this theory remains uncertain and has no solid evidence to support it. Another theory suggests a tragic accident. Many people think about abductions, but it's also possible that Michael may have wandered off and had an accident nearby. Young children are naturally curious and often explore their surroundings, so he might have left a playground and wandered into a nearby wooded area or even near a body of water. If this were the case, it would explain why no one saw him leave the playground. The thought of an accident is heartbreaking, as it suggests he may have been alone and unable to call for help. However, search teams have spent years combing through the area, checking forests, beaches, and other nearby spots, hoping to find any trace of Michael. Despite these efforts, nothing was ever found, which makes some people question the accident theory. If he had fallen or gotten lost nearby, there would likely have been some evidence, but none has ever turned up. This is more of a hypothesis about what may have happened after the kidnapping and can be viewed in connection with several of the other theories. When Michael vanished on March 24, 1991, The search effort began quickly and intensely. By April 9th of that same year, police had received more than 1,600 tips. The case was even featured on the popular TV show America's Most Wanted, which sparked more tips and even led to a reported sighting of Michael in New Jersey. Over the next weeks, there were sightings reported across various locations. Someone said they saw a boy matching Michael's description at a highway rest stop in New York, while another reported seeing him at a convenience store in New Jersey. There was even a home video filmed on northern Vancouver Island that seemed to show a boy resembling Michael. Authorities carefully followed up on each lead, leaving no stone unturned. In one unusual tip, someone claimed that Michael's skin had been dyed black and that he was living in the United States. Even that was investigated. As part of the ongoing efforts, posters with Michael's face were distributed throughout the province, and news channels kept his story in the spotlight. The reward for any information leading to his safe return was increased to $200,000, and schools helped by distributing 500,000 posters to raise awareness. Yet, despite all these efforts and the widespread attention, none of the leads led to any significant breakthroughs. The case remained as mysterious as ever, with no clear answers to what happened to Michael. Some wonder if Michael might have been taken by a woman or couple who couldn't have children and wanted a child to raise as their own. If this were the case, Michael might have grown up never knowing he was actually missing from his real family. Police have looked into people who seem to resemble Michael using DNA testing on those who look like age-progressed images of him, but so far no matches have been found. This theory remains a possibility, but no clear answers have come from it. One of the most controversial theories suggests that Michael could have been taken for ritual sacrifice. This idea emerged because during the 1980s, Victoria became associated with fears about satanic ritual abuse, a time when people were deeply worried about cult activities. Some speculate that Michael may have fallen victim to a hidden group with dark intentions. As people tried to understand Michael's disappearance, some began to wonder if he might have been taken by a child trafficking ring. Sadly, there are individuals and groups that exploit vulnerable children for their own gain. This theory is haunting because it suggests a far darker side to Michael's case. If a trafficking ring had taken Michael, it would explain why he hasn't been found, even after all these years. This terrifying idea brings a painful reality that Michael might have fallen victim to something much bigger and harder to fight. It also reminds us of how important it is to stay alert, report suspicious behavior, and protect children from dangerous people. Some suggest that Michael was abducted by a sex offender. Parks and playgrounds can sometimes attract predators looking for opportunities, which makes this a sadly realistic possibility. However, without solid evidence, this theory remains unproven. Yet it adds another unsettling layer to the possible reasons behind Michael's disappearance. Based on information we can find online, the most plausible explanation for Michael's disappearance seems to involve kidnapping by the man in the brown van. The reason for this is the numerous sightings of the mysterious brown van. Witnesses recall a man in this vehicle lurking around playgrounds, attempting to interact with children. Just a year and a half before Michael disappeared, a similar van was reportedly seen during an attempted abduction in Victoria. The driver allegedly tried to lure a child into the van using toys. This suggests that whoever owned the brown van may have targeted children repeatedly, watching them closely and attempting to take them when no one was watching. It's reasonable to assume that the same van was observed in both instances, though there could, of course, be similar vehicles. For the sake of argument, let's assume it was indeed the same van. What becomes confusing then is that the police have always known the owner of this vehicle thanks to the quick thinking of Bev Morrison, who recorded the registration number. While it is not publicly known if anyone else had access to the van, We must assume there's a reason why the owner, whose name remains confidential and who passed away relatively recently, was never charged. This leads us to believe that the responsible individual may have been someone connected to the van's owner, with access to the vehicle, either with or without the owner's consent. If the man in the brown van did indeed take Michael, it raises the question of what happened afterward. This is, of course, pure speculation. Some have suggested satanic rituals, but we believe this stems from the satanic panic that was prevalent at the time. Various forums are full of gossip and unfounded rumors, but very little of it has any real substance. What we can say is that if this man truly was responsible, his intentions were far from good, and the likelihood that Michael is still alive after all these years is very slim. However, Crystal firmly believes that her son Michael is still alive, expressing hope, saying, "One day we're going to have the answers we've all been waiting for."